p.m. Not a huge trade, not a surprising trade, but a trade nevertheless. We've been waiting for one of these dominoes to fall as it relates to a veteran player landing with a new franchise. 49ers GM John Lynch said this week, DeeBo Samuel has asked to be traded, and they're going to honor the request, which means this was inevitable. And so the news breaks. Saturday around dinner time, 49ers have a deal to send DeeBo Samuel to the Washington Commanders for a fifth-round pick. $17.55 million is what he's due to make this year. I've seen others say it's more like 21.7. Maybe I missed something, and that's entirely possible, but I went back to the original calculations we did when we broke down the DeeBo Samuel contract extension that was signed in 2022. $17.55 million is what I calculate this to be. Last year, the contract, free agent in 2026, remains to be seen whether or not he wants a new deal on the way through the door, whether or not maybe they have an agreement in place to give him a new deal. If so, that has yet to come to light. Might just be they send a fifth-round pick for 1 year, and then they'll decide what they're going to do when 2026 rolls around. This is a calculated risk for the Commanders. On one hand, you've got Adam Peters, the GM of the team, who knows a thing or two about DeeBo Samuel because he was the assistant GM in San Francisco when Samuel got his latest deal. And remember all that ugliness from 2022? Samuel was done with the 49ers. He wanted to be traded back to the East Coast. There were all these different reasons and explanations, and it felt like they were headed in separate directions, and then boom, they did the deal. Now, with 1 year left on that contract, there's a new deal in place, at least a new team in place. We'll see whether or not that new contract comes. For the 49ers, they've got Brandon Ayuk coming off of a torn ACL. They've got Ricky Pearsall, who had a solid rookie season, especially when we consider what happened to him on Labor Day weekend. They may have to go out and try to enhance the receiving core elsewhere, but this was about recognizing that for their perspective, the time had come to move on from DeeBo Samuel. And it's possible that the change of scenery will make all the difference. His numbers were not great last year. He had that career high in 2021. It's tailed off since then. Who knows? Who knows if you can turn the clock back? He's 29. He's got a lot of wear and tear, a lot of hard yards, right? Not a lot of separation down the field, big catches, a lot of get the ball and just plow your way through defenders. Remember, they discovered what a great running back he was in the 21 season. So the real question is going to be, how much is left in the tank? Is there an accumulation of hits that will keep him from being a number one or a number two? And right now, Terry McLaurin's the number one in D.C. When you look at their slate of free agents, 28 in all, there's a lot of receivers whose contracts are expiring, like De'Ami Brown, just to name a few. And there are 4 or 5 of them in all that are due to become free agents. Terry McLaurin, the only recognizable name that is under contract for 2025, other than Luke McCaffrey, draft pick last year, who may see some increased opportunities if more of these guys who are due to be free agents move on and new guys come in, like a DeeBo Samuel. So there'll definitely be a role for him. Top of the market's $35 million. 17.55 is a good deal. It's almost such a good deal that maybe Samuel's going to want a new deal. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But as I always say, if you're going to do a new contract when you trade for a guy, do it on the way in. Because once you do the deal, the leverage goes to the player. It's all got to be part of the transaction. Hey, you want a new team? Fine. Here's the contract we're offering. Agree to it now. Let's get it done now. And hell, for all I know, as I sit here saying this, it's possible the reports are already emerging. We're trying to get this thing moving, get the video posted, so you can hear our immediate analysis of the news that landed, not necessarily out of the blue, but still, we weren't expecting it. Trade in place, 49ers, Commanders, DeeBo Samuel to Washington. And remember the one caveat, I mention this all the time, because one of these days, it's going to happen. No trade that is agreed to before the first day of the league year, March 12, 4 p.m. Eastern. No trade agreed to before that is enforceable until both sides inform the league that the trade is done, which means either team can back out. And yes, it would create all sorts of problems, and it would give rise to trust issues and arguments. It doesn't matter. From the league's perspective, it's not done until both teams turn the key. Both teams have to insert the key and turn it. That happens March 12 at 4 o'clock Eastern. Until then, it is just a tentative deal. We assume it'll be a final deal. But one of these days, It's not going to happen. It'll probably be the time that I don't mention, oh, by the way, these deals are only tentative and not final until the first day of the league year. That's it for now. If anything else happens, I'll be back, whether it's tonight, whether it's Sunday. And if all else fails, you'll see us on Monday morning, 7 o'clock Eastern on PFT Live, Peacock, Sirius XM 85, and also later in the day on Sky Sports NFL. Have a great weekend. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.
Jerry Jones, allow me to interrupt the steak you're probably eating right now at Prime 47 in Indianapolis at the Combine to inform you it's happening to us again. I don't know if you care anymore. I don't know if you even notice these things, but your in-division rival, Washington, is now pulling a Philadelphia on you. Washington just went out and stole DeeBo Samuel, flat out stole him from San Francisco for a 5th-round pick, Jerry. We'll only have to pay him $17.5 million next year, be the last year of his contract. Maybe they'll give him a new one. But he's going to be playing for a contract next year. He wanted out of San Francisco, and now he's going to be on his best behavior with people he knows and loves in Washington. You're going to have to deal with DeeBo Samuel twice a year in Washington with Jayden Daniels. It's exactly what the doctor ordered for the Commanders, Jerry. Don't you see it? They've still got Terry McLaurin, who was obviously their number one and their most dangerous receiver, but you can see what was about to happen. They've got potential free agents in Noah Brown and De'Ami Brown and Zacchaeus. They needed a DeeBo. They went and got a DeeBo. Adam Peters was the assistant GM to John Lynch in San Francisco when they drafted DeeBo in 2019, and they just went and stole him. Anthony Lynn was the assistant head coach in charge of the running backs when DeeBo was running wild on you, Jerry, in a playoff game back in 22, and he also was the running back coach in 23. Anthony Lynn is now in Washington. Jerry, do you remember what DeeBo did to you in that home playoff game that you were favored in? How many times have we heard this story, this tale of woe for my Dallas Cowboys, our Dallas Cowboys? Remember what DeeBo did? You were big favorites at home. Jimmy Garoppolo was the 49er quarterback, and DeeBo ran wild in that game. My God. He ran 10 times for 72 yards and a touchdown. He caught 3 more balls for 38 yards. Jerry, Philly did it to us last year. Howie Roseman was the GM of the century last year. They dominated the offseason last year while you said you were all in and you were all time, all out. I don't know